Hi and welcome to this EstimatorXpress webinar. The summer update is all about drainage workbooks. So in this webinar I'm going to be taking us through some of the new drainage workbooks that are available to us, from eco-drains, say from the brick slots to shallow drains, some new soakaways, a sewage treatment plant, and also we are going to be looking at the new mini specifications for no decoration. Now this is specifically something that has been asked for quite a lot, and as we are now bringing in these new mini specifications so people can quickly pick the materials they want on a project before they actually start doing the estimating, it's been a perfect opportunity for us to add in the options to remove all the decorating in an entire job in one go. And we've also got a couple of extra specifications in there to reapply the decoration if a customer changes their mind and such. We will start on the job summary page. Now, in this job summary page, I have already added a selection of workbooks that are available, and there will be a few more being added to this list. They're just currently going through testing and final sign-off before release. I want to make sure that everything in the workbooks are as accurate as possible and that everything it can include has been included. This includes ranges of materials. Now, there are lines in these workbooks where it may say material to be specified, as in that particular range of channel drain and such there may not be an equivalent product, but it may be there in a different size. We have also a couple of standard workbooks such as the brick and block cavity wall and chasing walls. Those are in there so we can demonstrate the new no decoration. I haven't applied that mini specification just yet, but will be something I will do after I've gone into those workbooks and added some data. To start off with, I'm going to go into the EcoDrain Rain Drain B125 Light Duty Channel Drain. We have all the different systems listed here as they have slightly different estimating methods. Some you buy the individual components, some you buy the drainage as a kit, so we've had to split the workbooks apart to keep them separate and makes it easier then just to hone in on a workbook for a specific type. So I'm going to open this workbook now, and you will have, as you go through, the unpacking for first use. For this now, I'm going to enter a worksheet name for the rain drain. I'm going to call this webinar location. Now for this I could say driveway. Click OK, and I'm presented with one dimensional template there for the B125 100mm deep, so I'm going to select that one there. We now enter the first page of 2 for the new dimensions wizards that we've drawn up for this. As you can see, we've got the standard dimensions in there: dig depths, widths. For the channel drains themselves, I'm going to show tech tips there so you can see what's going on. Width of drain, depths and such there. So that's all fairly standard stuff, but there are a few tricks we've included into these new workbooks to make them scale across a variety of jobs. The new scalability comes first off on the first page here. We have an option for use of 25 kilogram sand bags. The yes no on that there will give us the option to go from the main bag of sand on site. So if you're working on a site, channel drains are being fitted, then we can work from the main bag of sand. If the job itself is pretty much installing channel drains for a customer who has drainage issues on their driveway, then you can use 25 kilogram sandbags without having to go to the effort of bringing in a larger bag. Everything can be done by handy bag. So that is a yes/no option there. We also have an option there to use the skip for spoil. By saying yes, we are saying, okay, everything from this dig out is going into the main skip or being removed the rest of the spoil as we've organised. By saying no to that, we can switch over to the allowance for other methods of spoil removal. Now this may just be putting 30 quid in there for you bagging the materials up or dropping it on the back of a pickup and disposing of that waste yourself, and that could be the fee for tipping. Another option I'm going to go into here as well is this button on the bottom left hand corner, installation to existing driveway. This is once again going for the scalability, that if you are installing these channel drains on an existing driveway, we can allow time to cut into the surface of that driveway before doing the digging itself. That digging there is done on the previous page, but we can allow some time to actually cut through the surface, be it tarmac, block, or whatever there. Some time for the cutting plant. Go back to there, and we're going to move on to page 2. Now we can say the length of the channel drain that we want. Defaults to 4 meters. Say if you was just to run through this really quickly, it should cover you for the front of a garage for a variety of lengths. And we've also got the depth of trench there. We have number of outlets, sump units, number of end caps, and number of drain unions, and number of days for cement mixer. Now we've included the option for cement mixer there once again because it may be the only job you are doing on site. So I'm going to click finish on that there now, and you'll see I now have one section of drainage done. I'm going to come up to the view resources output, and I'm going to look at the resources in here now. So we have the rain drain. As I have said no to the end caps, the outlet end caps, zeroed out, sumps and rain drain unions, currently zeroed out. As I said no to the 25 kilogram sand for backfill, it is also zeroed out. It will of course now instead be going for a building sand bulk bag, and the partial order for this will be included on top of the rest of it for the rest of your job. Going to come back out of there now. Just going to open up the resources wizard there as well now, so you can see some of the options here. That is how our new drainage workbooks appear and how they work. I'm going to finish there. I'm going to close out of this one now. Say workbook complete, yes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into a rain drain A15 light duty channel drain. I'm going to open that one there. Once again, I'm going to give it a name and location. We could say garden. There we go. Click OK. Select our template. Don't forget, you can click edit and add extra templates to this. There's very few options to change for this drainage above the actual length. The rest of it is, say, nice and standard for you to quickly install the drains. So once again, we have the widths, depth and such, including depth of the paving and tarmac above the concrete. Same again for the 25 kilogram sandbags, using skip for spoil and such there. Installation to existing driveway, once again, number of hours to cut into that driveway. And once again, depths of trench and total length. Click finish, and we can have a little look at the resources output there. Now I will highlight at this point, as I'm looking there, the labour is all done as a hand dig for this. It's a very shallow dig, and it may be that you've already taken out a certain depth anyway, and you might be building it back up again on a larger job, or on a smaller job. It's not worth bringing in a machine to dig out 20 centimeters or so of mud or what could already be sub-base sand binding from the previous driveway. Should all be removable by hand. So once again, we have our selection of items in there. Where it has a full range of items for the drainage, so in this case the rain drain A15, there is a full range of, say, end caps, end outlet caps, sumps with gratings and sediment buckets, and drain unions. They're all available on that range, so they are all included. If they are not included in that range, you will find this option set as to be defined. So if you do need something like a sump, it may be a case you will have to look at one of the other systems to provide that sump, as it's not within that direct range. Come back out of there now, close again, and say workbook now complete. I'm now going to go into the ACO S100 channel drain. This one has a slightly different variety to it. So as this system does come itself within a range of depths, we have provided across the range there. Now the important factor is here that once again, as mentioned with the materials, some like the 137, while only providing a shallow drain, not all fittings are done by suppliers, but coming up to the 191mm deep drain, all the fittings are available by suppliers there. So we'll go into that S100 191mm, and as it's already a preformed worksheet, the dimensions wizard doesn't automatically pop up, so we're going to select that one now. And you can see, once again, the depths on this are ready to go. As to point out as well, the defaults for the yes/no questions for the sandbags and for the spoil do all refer to larger jobs, so be it new build or extension, not just doing it on its own or as part of a couple of other small works. And once again, we've got number of end caps, number of inlets, number of outlets, number of junctions, number of sump units, and number of days for the cement mixer. Click Finish. Go to our View Resources output. And we have our items there. Come back out of there. Close again. We can take a look at stuff like the 311mm deep. So as you have garnered by now, all the dimensional wizards are very similar, so once you've got used to one, you'll be quite happy using the rest. To come on to something a little bit different, we are going to go along to the treatment plant. Now we've got the horizontal tank here, there is a vertical tank coming. Okay, so just call that tank, and location, we can put this one in the garden as well. Click OK. Sewage treatment plant, horizontal tank. Now we have the dimensional template. So this one is a lot more involved than our shallow drainage. And the first thing I'm going to point out on this one is the note on the right hand side saying you should use the drainage plant workbook to allow for the costs for excavation. Very much like the rest of our drainage workbooks, while they will calculate the volume of spoil and the volume of material to go back in, the actual plant to dig them out is included in the drainage plant workbook. Because there are so many different elements of plant themselves, it is far easier to include that drainage plant in one workbook, and also you can then add that on to that time to any existing plant that's on site at that time. You may be adding on time to when you're doing the foundations, you might be digging out half the drainage runs at that point, or you might be doing it later and you want to have the plant left on site for much longer, so you don't have to have it taken away and redelivered, you just want to cover the cost of having it there over the, possibly could be for a week before it's back in use again. To run through this now, I'm going to show you the tech tips again, and run through, so we have the diameter of the treatment plant itself, running through this now, depth of shingle backfill above the soakaway. Now we have quite a lot of options for this, as you'll see, because we have shingle to the sides as well, and then we have depth of concrete to the sides. Now the reason we've broken that down to the shingle above and the shingle to the sides, and then concrete to the sides, and then concrete below, is because the depth of the concrete itself may vary. You may have a very shallow bit of concrete on the bottom and then mostly filled in with shingle, or it could be that it's mostly encased in concrete with a light shallow bit of shingle on top, or whatever you wish to cover it with. We then have the width of the excavation, and the total of depth of excavation is going to be the tally of all these put together. Moving on there, we have the length of the treatment plant, and then we have the length of excavation. The differential figure there between the length and the depth of excavation will give us the depth of concrete combined with the dimensions on the previous page, and also the depth of shingle. Moving on to page 3, we have the building questions and cost questions, because the treatment plant could be a model that is brand new to the market. It could be something that isn't a standard treatment plant. It could be something entirely different. So we have a cost of the treatment plant in there as a figure that you will enter yourself. So if you know what's going to be installed, then you can drop that cost in there. It's not something that can be added in as a default cost. There's all different items available. Now we also have time to install treatment plant and backfill. We have on the right hand side here time for labour to assist installing electrical connections. So this time on top of any other electrical works that's going to go on, this allows us to run the connection. Time for electricians to connect the main plant in hours as well. We have a link for the SWA cable required, and then fit outdoor isolator switch. So sensible idea to have it there. Click finish. Going to take a look at the view resources output for this, and we have our costs there. So we have our material backfill, so pea gravel, bulk bag, sand cement, what say is blue circle, and our bulk bags as standard. We can select what cables we have, the isolator switch, and then the labour and such that's going to be done on this. You'll see that there is a sundry plant in there at a cost of £1, so that is our figure that we've got in there currently as £2,000 for the actual sewage treatment plant itself. So we can have a little look at the view resources wizard for this. Very straightforward, one page on there for the materials and a single page for the labour and plant. Click finish, and I'm going to come back out of there now. Close again and say this workbook is now complete. The next thing we're going to have a look at is the HBXL modular soakaways. So we're going to call this one soakaway, and location once again we can say garden. Click OK. Modular soakaway and select this one. A lot of jobs, say small jobs, may not require them, but anything above like certain square meters of flat concrete or flat surface will require means and measures to allow drainage of liquid at controlled rates without it all flooding and going all horribly wrong. We're going to have a little look at our workbook here now. I'm going to go straight to the tech tips again. First dimension I'm going to click on there is width of the soakaway. Straightforward enough. Width, combine that there with a depth of the soakaway. We have depth of the backfill above soakaway because it's buried above below ground, and we have depth of shingle there to the top, to the bottom and to the sides. All very straightforward. We have our overall excavation and then the actual size of the soakaway itself as a volume to be minused from the shingle. We also have a note here to say that you should use the drainage plant workbook to allow for the plant for excavation. So once again, as I referred to earlier on, the drainage plant is all done in one go. Click next, and we are on to page 2, so the soakaway units. We have the link for the units there as well. Coming over to the right hand side here, we have lots of options for which units we're going to be using. We have number of HBXL Eco units, number of 4. We have HBXL Prime units, HBXL Core units, HBXL Plus units. You can combine them into different levels. You might have Eco at the top, Plus at the bottom, create long soakaways, short soakaways, wide soakaways, deep soakaways. You have percentage of membrane overlap. We have number of rolls of joint tape required. Time to install soakaway and backfill, 8 hours. That's a day to actually install it. So that's basically stacking up the soakaway and filling up. Plan, construct the excavation, and bulking factor for spoil. So once again, we have 0.5. So I'm going to click finish there now. And I'm going to go to the view resources output. So here we can see that we have the different crates there. So our Eco, Prime, Core and Plus. We have the geotextile membrane, standard pea gravel bulk bag for our backfill, standard groundworker and labour to install the soakaway, plant and struck, tape for membrane, and then our standard skip for removal. You can mix and match, say number of, or even change them to a different system entirely. So it's a very scalable workbook and should allow you to create any design of soakaway. Close out of there now and say workbook is now complete. So now we've gone through some of the new drainage workbooks that are available. I'm going to move on to the next part of the webinar, the no decoration specification. Okay, the mini spec for no decoration. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into a brick and block cavity wall and just say demo for this one, location, extension. Click OK. I'm going to say single story cavity wall. I'm going to accept the default because the entire purpose of this one is the defaults say yes to decorating. I'm going to go to the resources output, and we'll see here we have all of our decorators. I'm going to come back out of here again now, close that again, say workbook complete. I am going to go into the spec tab. In the specification tab, I can go to my mini specifications. I'm going to go to change mini spec. You'll see that there's a decoration mini spec. So this one here has the no decoration or resources set as not required as an option. I have below it the options for new build and extension if I wish to restore the decoration, so it's not a one-way street. You can come back from it if the customer changes their mind. We'll select the no decoration or resources set to not required, click OK. We'll say no to applying that to the spec for the moment, because I'm going to come down here now and you'll see that the specification now specifies not required. I'm going to apply that spec now, click yes, it's going to run through and change our figures. So that's now applied that. Go back into my demo, come down here and you'll see now that the decoration has now been set to not required. All the workbooks that I could be going through on extension, new build, renovation, I can now ignore everything that says painting and decorating yes or no. I'm going to come back out of there and close again. So that is how straightforward the painting and decorating spec is. I'm going to go back to the spec again, go to mini specs, change mini specs. I'm going to apply a default decoration for extension and renovation. Click OK. Yes, I want to apply that. That's now applied. Broken block cavity wall again. Demo worksheet, view resources output, and my decorators are ready to go back to work. Click back, close, and then close again. Workbook now complete. I have a workbook here, Chasing Walls. This is here for a very specific reason, and that is there are new build phases in the software. These build phases, I'm going to pop into the Chasing Walls workbook, call this one internal prep location. Let's call it house for now. Click OK. Typical channels to be chased. I'm not too worried about the dimensions of this at the time being. Number of sockets recessed and such there. I'm going to leave all that there as standard. Click Finish. I'm going to come to the View Resources output and I'm going to show you this new build phase, internal preparation. What you may find with the updates now is that many of the jobs that would have been particularly in demolition will now have much more appropriate homes in the chart. When you do an extension and there's a knock through, it's not so much going to be that the opening or any work that you're going to be doing on the existing once the extension's built being done in the demolition phase. You can now apply them to an internal preparation phase, which is going to be after the brickwork, shell and roofing if you wish. It's going to make much more sense when you're looking at this in the order of your quote. So I can see my internal preparation there. I'm going to click back out of there, close again, say this workbook is now complete. What I'm going to do now is go to my chart. What you'll see then is an internal preparation. I'm going to click close on that so I can go internal preparation. That's that phase just there. It's come after the brickwork shell. If I want to, I can even move it to long after the roof tiling is done, so I know that everything's going to be in the dry. What I can do is I can remove unused build phases from this job to highlight a little bit more there. Bring up my edit bar chart, bring my foundations back to week 1. Cascade that, hit refresh, and there's my internal preparation build phase. What I can do here is I can then extend this as well and move it along to start over here. So there we have a new internal preparation build phase for you as well. We've started adding, say, certain key little build phases such as the internal preparation and also an external preparation build phase, though that one occurs much less within the software. Internal preparation is something that occurs a lot.